Master9351 here, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about something very interesting that I've seen a couple of videos on before, but I've never really seen anyone actually really take a look at this problem with the Skylanders franchise. So what is the problem? Skylanders lore makes absolutely zero sense, and it all starts from the very beginning of the series with the whole they were banished to Earth mentality that was started by Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. This whole concept, while a really interesting concept, really did paint Activision into a corner, at least lore-wise. Nothing really makes sense because of this. This is not the only problem with Skylanders lore, but on the surface it is definitely the single most obvious thing. So what's the story? Well, originally the original 32 Skylanders were banished to Earth when the core of light exploded. That makes perfect sense, right? I can understand that. They were sent to Earth, they became statues, and now you can find them in stores, right? That aspect of the lore, that makes 100%, sense. It works, logically speaking. The Giants were banished to Earth 10,000 years ago, and now they're only just now starting to show up now that they're in need. A little bit of magic involved, but whatever. It makes perfect sense, right, from a lore standpoint. Here's what doesn't make sense. How did the reposes get here? How did the light cores get here? How did they get here? It makes no sense. How did the new core characters get here? Okay, so you could say, you make the argument that the new core characters are not actually new. They've been part of the Skylanders for a long time. They're only just now starting to show up when Giants came out, right? That makes sense. But again, how did the reposes get here? Were they sent back to Skylands when we found them in Spyro's Adventure and then got rebanished to Earth in a different powered up form? Is that what happened? Well, okay, it's never been stated, but whatever. So jump to Swap Force, right? The Swap Force is either banished the same year as Swap Force or 100 years prior to Swap Force. It's never really explained correctly, and there's a lot of fan theories as to whether or not the Swap Force were actually here for 100 years before being unearthed. That aspect of the lore is honestly not that important, nor is it really ever explained. But again, that does kind of show you the Skylanders lore is very nebulous and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? So the Swap Force were banished here. Okay, that makes sense. When the volcano exploded in Swap Force, they got banished to Earth. Again, how did the new core characters get here? How did the Series 2s and 3s from Swap Force get here? How did the Light Cores get here? It doesn't make any sense. Trap Masters, or the Trap Team. The Trap Masters were banished when Cloudcracker Prison exploded. That makes sense. The Traptanium Crystals were banished to Earth when it exploded. That makes sense. Again, core characters, what the heck is up with these minis? They don't make any sense at all. Variants, by the way, haven't even mentioned those yet. They don't make any sense. How did they get here? So then we get even one more level of confusion. We have the light and dark element characters, right? So they were supposedly went missing when the core of light exploded. That makes sense, right? What doesn't make sense? When Cloudcracker Prison blew up, supposedly light and dark elements reappeared in Skylands. And it stated that basically Master Eon was just like, hey, wait a second, where the heck did you come from? Well, that doesn't make any sense. They're statues on Earth. When were they banished to Earth? That doesn't make any sense at all, right? So the whole they were banished to Earth thing really started to fall apart when they introduced light and dark. It was falling apart before then, but it really started to fall apart when they introduced the light and dark elements. And they basically gave up on the whole they were banished to Earth mentality of the lore when Superchargers came out. It's never explained how the Superchargers came to Earth. It's never explained how the vehicles came to Earth. For Imaginators, the Senseis, it's never explained how they got banished to Earth. And when you take a look at the guest stars, it makes even less sense. Look at the Sky Nemos, Bowser and Donkey Kong. Well, okay, it's explained that they came to Skylands through a portal. Well, how did they get to Earth? How did the Senseis get to Earth? How did Chaos's clone get sent to Earth as a Sensei? None of that makes any sense whatsoever. The whole they were banished to Earth thing makes no sense. I mean, sure, from a logical standpoint, it never made any sense, but even from a lore standpoint, if we're actually assuming that everything in the game is true, it makes no sense as to how that happened. But that is far from the only problem with the Skylanders lore. Here are some of the other problems. Where the heck did Spyro come from, okay? Where did he come from? It's never properly explained. We have 3 explanations as to how Spyro got to Skylands. So, the original lore from the original game states that Spyro is from a far-off world and just kind of mysteriously showed up in Skylands. That's what Spyro's adventure tells us. So then, what else do we have explanation-wise? Well, according to Skylanders Lost Islands, you know, that mobile game that closed down last November, Spyro has a hometown like 10-15 minutes away from where Lost Islands takes place. He was born in Skylands, according to Lost Islands, and considering that the game was published and approved by Activision, it is technically official lore from Activision that he was born in Skylands. But wait a second, according to Skylanders Academy, he was found in an egg in the middle of a forest by Eon, except according to the actual thing, that's not what happened, and he was actually, basically, Eon banished his parents to a foreign realm, and Spyro's just here now, right? Like, there are 3 official explanations, one of which is a lie started by Eon that he was found in the woods via an egg. The point is, though, there's no explanation as to how Spyro got there. There are conflicting explanations as to how he got to Skylands. It makes no sense. Where did Cinder come from? According to the original game, she basically just kind of showed up one day, right? Like, with Spyro, according to the original game. According to Skylanders Academy, she's the daughter of Malifor. Again, no consistency there. Originally, this video was just going to talk about how there is no consistency between the actual games and Skylanders Academy, and how they cannot be canon with each other. One of them has to be the official Skylanders lore, because the games and Academy do not make sense when you try to put them together. They make no sense. But see, then I realized that if I just tried to compare Skylanders Academy to the games, I realized I can't really do that, because the games don't have a whole lot of consistency with the lore, and in all honesty, basically the only lore that we know from the games is from the backstories of the various Skylanders. Beyond that, we don't really know a whole lot about the world of Skylands, at least in terms of the characters, pretty much at all. We know very limited information about the various races of Skylands from some of the backstories that we've gotten from these characters. But the thing is, they don't make sense. There is no consistency, and it goes one step further than that. If we look at the comics and the books, the lore devolves even further. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, I will say, the books are probably the best source of lore for Skylanders, and from what we can tell, the original lore of the games, i.e. Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure, and Giants, which when put together probably have the best lore, or at least the best put together lore of all of the games, the books line up with the lore presented in the first 2 Skylander games. They make sense with that. The comics, they don't really make a whole lot of sense, because then you bring in Malifor, and there's conflicting reports on what Malifor did and didn't do, and then you have, like, it doesn't make sense. And is Eon brothers with Strikor? Who is Strikor? Is Strikor even existing in these games? Because if he did, how have we never heard of him? There's no consistency, and I don't really know how many ways I can say that. Any fan theories, and this is the main thing, any fan theory about Skylanders is wrong because the lore doesn't make any sense. Right? You try to speculate about Nightlight. Well, it's wrong because it doesn't make sense. Because nothing makes sense. You can't create a fan theory that makes any sense because the lore itself doesn't make any sense. It's all a confusing, jumbled mess. But I didn't make this video to come and spit in the face of the lore of Skylanders. That was not the goal of this. Let me tell you what I think this means lore-wise for Skylanders and what we can take away from this. I just said no fan theory is correct. But what if I went and, like the Skylanders lore, contradicted myself? Well, I'm about to do that. All fan theories about Skylanders are correct. Every single fan theory is correct, if you think it is. That is the beauty of this. I'm in an English class right now. What our teacher likes to say is that if you think something is true about a story, then it is true. It's all about what you think. Because, in reality, there's no way of telling what it was actually intended lore-wise. And that's the truth about Skylanders. There is basically no way to tell what was supposed to be true lore-wise, because the way it was written makes no sense. What is the reasoning for this? Is it just lazy writing on Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions' part? Is it miscommunication between the two companies? Is it the fact that Activision maybe wanted to do something differently than the game studios? I honestly don't know, and I'm not here to try to assign blame as to why the lore makes no sense, but you can't deny that it doesn't make any sense. And like I said, any fan theory that tries to fit in there automatically does not work, because there are so many things that can contradict it, because again, the lore is so confusing and jumbled up. But, again, the beauty of this is, if you want something to be true in the Skylanders lore, let it be true, because we don't really have anything else to go off of. So you should continue to make your fan theories. You should continue to make your own lore, to try to understand the Skylanders lore, even though it doesn't make any sense. You should continue to try to do that, because when nothing is true, everything is true. And I think that's a really profound thing, and I'm getting kind of philosophical here, but it's one of the reasons that I enjoy fan theories and speculation so much, especially with Skylanders, because there's so much freedom as to what you can do. There are over 200 characters that you can pull from in Skylanders, and I think that that opens up the potential for speculation and fan theories so much. And it's a shame that there's no real backbone to try to fit things into, but in reality, it gives you so much creative freedom in your fan theories that I think that that's a really amazing concept. And honestly, guys, get to making your fan theories, because I really, really love fan theories, and there's so much freedom because Skylanders lore makes no sense that you can do whatever you want. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you guys today. I started out kind of aggressive, got philosophical at the end. So yeah, tell me what you think about this video down in the comments, and leave some of your favorite fan theories about Skylanders in the comments below. I may actually even make a video response theory, or a video response to this video, talking about some of the favorite fan theories that you guys have. I think that'd be a really interesting video to make, and if you guys leave some good theories down in the comments, I'll highlight them, whether or not I think they make much sense or not, because let's be honest, nothing else in the Skylanders lore makes any sense, so may as well highlight whatever I want to. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and also shout out to all my patrons on Patreon, especially Liam Corner and the Collector Creepypasta. That's all for today. See you guys next time.